Chicago never slept quietly. The city breathed in sirens, smoke, ambition, and secrets. Above the streets, glass towers glittered beneath the winter sky while politicians toasted each other with champagne on rooftop terraces. But below that polished surface lived another Chicago, the one hidden behind steel doors, back-alley handshakes, and cash exchanged in silence. That was the Chicago Eli Turner knew. Rain hammered the pavement as Eli stepped out behind the gutter rows with a crate of spoiled produce balanced on one shoulder. Steam rose from the alley vents. Somewhere nearby, a train screamed across elevated tracks. A black sedan sat at the mouth of the alley. Wrong place. Wrong time. Eli narrowed his eyes. Two men leaned against the car wearing expensive coats that didn't belong in his neighborhood. One smoked lazily while the other watched Eli with the patience of a wolf waiting for a wounded animal to slow down. Eli dumped the crate into the trash. "You boys lost?" he asked. The smoker flicked ash onto the wet concrete. "Mr. Arnett sends his regards." Eli's jaw hardened immediately. Vincent Arnett. Even hearing the name felt like swallowing broken glass. "I don't owe Vincent anything." "No," the second man replied calmly. "But he thinks you're forgetting your place." Eli took one slow step forward. His broad shoulders filled the narrow alley. "You tell Vincent this," he growled. "If he sends another errand boy to threaten me, I'll feed him to the grinder downstairs." The smoker laughed. Then he pulled a gun. The alley froze. Rain tapped against metal dumpsters. Eli's eyes locked on the weapon. "You think because your little supper club became fashionable, you're untouchable," the man sneered. Eli didn't answer. He moved. Fast. His hand slammed a trash can lid into the gunman's wrist. The shot exploded into the air, deafening the alley. Before the second man could react, Eli drove his shoulder into him, smashing him against brick. The smoker cursed, reaching for the gun again. Eli grabbed a broken bottle from the dumpster and pointed the jagged glass toward him. "Get out." Something in Eli's eyes convinced them. The two men scrambled into the sedan and vanished into the rain. Eli stood alone afterward, chest rising heavily. The war had started again. And this time, Vincent Arnett wasn't playing games. 3 hours later, nobody inside the gutter rows knew what had happened. That was how Eli preferred it. Inside, the restaurant glowed like another universe. Velvet curtains swallowed the noise of the city. Gold chandeliers hung low above polished wooden tables. Jazz drifted through the room like smoke while wealthy guests laughed over crystal glasses and plates worth more than most people's weekly salaries. The gutter rows had no website. No advertisements. No sign outside. If you knew about it, somebody important had whispered your name. And tonight, Savannah Clarke intended to become one of those names. She stepped from a black town car wearing a dark emerald dress beneath a wool coat. Snowflakes caught in her hair as she stared at the unmarked steel door. Her pulse quickened. Not from fear. From instinct. Every major story she had ever chased began exactly like this, with a locked door and people trying too hard to protect what was behind it. She adjusted the hidden recorder beneath her sleeve. Tonight, she wasn't Savannah Clarke, investigative journalist and daughter of one of Chicago's wealthiest business families. Tonight, she was Clara Voss. Rich. Careless. Invisible in plain sight. The bouncer scanned her invitation. His expression shifted when he noticed the silver bracelet around her wrist bearing the Clarke family crest. Money recognized money. The steel door opened. Warmth swallowed her instantly. The smell hit first. Butter. Garlic. Wine. Fresh herbs. Seared steak. The restaurant buzzed with quiet power. Politicians sat beside athletes. Judges laughed with businessmen. Everyone looked relaxed. Which meant everyone was dangerous. Savannah slowly walked deeper into the room, studying everything. Security cameras hidden in corners. Cash exchanged instead of cards. Waiters trained like soldiers. And at the center of it all, Eli Turner. He stood behind the open kitchen counter wearing a black apron over a charcoal shirt rolled to his elbows. He looked nothing like the celebrity chefs on television. He looked dangerous. Tattooed forearms. Broad shoulders. Dark eyes that missed nothing. His kitchen moved like a battlefield. Table 6, now. Eli barked. Yes, chef. A pan burst into flame. One cook nearly dropped a tray. Eli caught it one-handed without even turning fully around. Savannah watched him carefully. Every rumor she had heard suddenly felt incomplete. This wasn't just a chef. This was a man holding an empire together with his bare hands. And somehow, despite herself, she couldn't stop staring. Across the room, Eli noticed her immediately. Not because she was beautiful. The gutter rose was filled with beautiful people every night. But beautiful people usually wanted to be seen. This woman wanted to observe. She watched exits. Watched staff. Watched him. Wrong. Very wrong. Eli slid another plate across the counter. Mateo, he muttered. His sous chef looked up. The woman in green. Corner table. Mateo glanced over. What about her? She's either trouble or undercover. Mateo snorted. Maybe she just likes your face. Eli ignored him. Send her dessert. On the house. Why? Because people reveal themselves when they think they're winning. Minutes later, Savannah received a plate carrying dark chocolate mousse decorated with gold flakes. A small card rested beside it. From the chef. Savannah looked toward the kitchen. Eli was already watching her. Their eyes locked. The noise of the restaurant seemed to disappear for one strange second. Savannah smiled faintly. Then she stood up. And walked directly toward the kitchen. Several guests turned to stare. Nobody approached Eli Turner uninvited. But Savannah did. She stopped at the counter. I'd like to compliment the chef personally. Eli didn't stop plating food. You just did. I expected someone friendlier. I expected someone less curious. That made her pause. His eyes narrowed slightly. Who are you really? He asked. Clara Voss. Lie again. Savannah's heartbeat stumbled. He turned away before she could answer. Enjoy your dessert, he said coldly. Then he disappeared through the swinging kitchen doors. Savannah stared after him. For the first time in years, a source had unsettled her. And she hated it. Near midnight, the gutter rose began to empty. Savannah remained. A drunk politician stumbled toward the exit laughing with two bankers. A famous actor slipped into a private elevator with a woman half his age. The deeper the night became, the more the restaurant changed. Staff whispered instead of speaking. Security tightened. Cash boxes disappeared downstairs. This was the part Savannah had come for. She slipped quietly toward the restricted hallway behind the kitchen. No cameras. Interesting. She moved carefully past shelves of imported wine and crates of produce until she reached a locked office door. A faint glow shone beneath it. Savannah pulled a small lockpick set from her purse. 30 seconds. That was all she needed. The lock clicked. She opened the door. Inside sat filing cabinets, ledgers, shipping invoices, and a wall covered in delivery routes. Bingo! Savannah hurried toward the desk. Then she froze. A photograph sat half-hidden beneath paperwork. Eli Turner. Standing beside Vincent Arnett. Arm around arm. Smiling. Before she could examine it further, the office lights suddenly shut off. Darkness swallowed the room. Then a voice came from behind her. "You picked the wrong office." Savannah spun. Eli stood in the doorway. And he looked furious. Not loud fury. Worse. Controlled fury. "You break into every restaurant you visit?" he asked. Savannah quickly straightened. "I can explain." "Good. Because right now I'm deciding whether to throw you into the alley myself." She swallowed. "Think. Fast. I'm investigating Vincent Arnett." That stopped him. Only for a second. But she saw it. Eli stepped into the office slowly. "How do you know that name?" Savannah held her ground. "Because wherever Arnett goes, people disappear. Businesses collapse. Witnesses change their stories. And you thought I was involved? I think you know something." Eli laughed once. A dark, humorless sound. "You have no idea what you walked into." He grabbed the photograph from the desk and shoved it into a drawer. Savannah watched carefully. "Who is he to you?" she asked. Eli's expression hardened instantly. "Leave. I can help." "I said leave." Footsteps echoed suddenly from outside the office. Heavy. Fast. Eli's head snapped toward the hallway. His eyes sharpened. "Get down." Before Savannah could react, the office window exploded inward. Glass blasted across the room. A bullet slammed into the wall where Eli had been standing. Savannah screamed. Eli grabbed her instantly, dragging her behind the desk. More shots cracked through the office. Wood splintered. Papers flew. "What is happening?" Savannah shouted. Eli reached beneath the desk and pulled out a handgun. Vincent found out somebody's digging. Another bullet tore through the room. Eli looked at her sharply. "Can you run?" "Yes." "Good." He kicked open a hidden door behind the filing cabinets. Savannah stared. A narrow staircase descended into darkness. "Move!" Eli barked. They sprinted downstairs as gunfire erupted above them. Savannah's lungs burned while they raced through underground storage tunnels beneath the restaurant. "Your restaurant has secret tunnels?" she yelled. "It's Chicago," Eli answered. "Everybody has tunnels." Behind them, men shouted. They went downstairs. Eli cursed. He shoved Savannah ahead of him. At the end of the corridor stood a steel exit door. Locked. Eli fired once at the chain. The door burst open. Cold night air slammed into them. They emerged into another alley 3 blocks away. Snow whipped through the streetlights. Savannah bent over, gasping. Eli grabbed her arm. "We keep moving." "Who were those men?" "Vincent's." "Why shoot at you?" "Because somebody told him I started asking questions again." Police sirens wailed in the distance. Eli looked back toward the city skyline. Then toward Savannah. "You need to disappear for a while." She stared at him. "You think I'm running now?" For the first time that night, Eli almost smiled. "Yeah," he muttered. "You really are trouble." Snow drifted between them while sirens echoed somewhere far behind the buildings. Savannah should have walked away. Every instinct told her to. But instinct had never won against curiosity. And the look in Eli Turner's eyes told her one thing clearly. Whatever she had stumbled into was far bigger than money laundering. Eli drove like a man expecting bullets. The black pickup truck tore through icy Chicago streets while Savannah gripped the dashboard each time they slid around corners. "You planning on slowing down?" she asked. "No. You always answer with one word." "When I'm being hunted, yeah." He checked the rearview mirror constantly. Savannah noticed it. Not paranoia. Training. Or experience. Which raised another question. Who exactly was Eli Turner before he became a chef? The truck sped beneath an overpass before finally pulling into an abandoned warehouse district near the river. Eli killed the headlights. Darkness swallowed them instantly. Savannah frowned. "You live here?" "No." "Then why are we here?" "Because Vincent owns half the cops downtown." Eli stepped out of the truck. Savannah followed reluctantly. The cold hit like a blade. Eli unlocked a rusted steel door and motioned her inside. The interior surprised her. The warehouse looked abandoned from outside, but inside it was transformed into a hidden prep kitchen and storage space. Industrial freezers lined one wall. Shelves overflowed with canned goods, wine crates, and emergency supplies. A backup location. Savannah slowly turned. "How many secrets do you have?" Eli tossed her a towel. "In Chicago? You survive by having more secrets than enemies." He walked toward a steel sink and washed blood from his knuckles. Only now did Savannah notice cuts across his hands. Glass wounds. "You're hurt." "I've been worse." "You got shot at." "Still breathing." She stared at him in disbelief. "How are you this calm?" Eli looked up. "Because panic gets people killed." The room fell quiet. Snow tapped softly against the high warehouse windows. Then Savannah noticed something strange. Pinned across an entire corkboard were photographs. Names. Dates. Shipping records. Maps. Vincent Arnett. Her pulse quickened. "You've been investigating him too." Eli dried his hands slowly. "For 3 years." Savannah walked closer to the board. Photos of burned restaurants. Missing accountants. Dead suppliers. Bribed officials. The deeper she looked, the darker the pattern became. "This isn't laundering," she whispered. Eli's expression hardened. "No." "What is it?" He hesitated. Then finally answered. "Arnett uses restaurants to move more than money." Savannah looked at him sharply. "Human trafficking?" Eli shook his head. "Weapons." The word landed like a punch. Savannah stepped back slowly. "You're serious?" "I watched crates disappear through supplier routes for years." "Guns. Illegal imports. Black market tech. Arnett launders profits through luxury restaurants because nobody questions rich people eating expensive food." Savannah's mind raced. This story wasn't career-changing anymore. It was explosive. Federal level. Potentially deadly. "Why didn't you go to the FBI?" Eli laughed bitterly. "Because one of the agents investigating him died in a car explosion 6 months ago." Savannah felt cold all over. Outside, a train thundered past. The warehouse rattled. Then Eli looked directly at her. "Now you understand why you should leave." Savannah crossed her arms. Not happening. You don't know what Arnett does to people. You think I scare easy? No, Eli replied quietly. That's exactly the problem. At 2:13 a.m., someone tried to break into the warehouse. The first sound was metal scraping. Then footsteps. Eli instantly grabbed the lights and killed them. Darkness crashed over the room. Savannah's heartbeat exploded. Eli pressed one finger against his lips. Silence. More footsteps outside. Low voices. They came here. You sure? Trucks outside. Savannah's stomach tightened. Eli reached beneath a counter and handed her a pistol. She stared at it. You know how to use one, he whispered. No. Tonight's your lucky night. He quickly showed her the safety. Another metallic bang echoed through the warehouse. Someone was forcing the door. Eli moved toward the shadows near the entrance. Savannah crouched behind stacked crates, trying to steady her breathing. The warehouse door burst open. 3 men entered. Flashlights sliced through darkness. Spread out. Savannah recognized one of the voices. The smoker from the alley. Her grip tightened around the pistol. A flashlight beam swept toward her hiding spot. Closer. Closer. Then Eli attacked. He exploded from the darkness like a freight train. One man hit the floor instantly. The second swung wildly. Eli blocked the punch and drove him headfirst into shelving. Metal crashed everywhere. The third man raised a gun. Savannah reacted before thinking. She fired. The shot deafened her. The bullet slammed into a freezer behind the gunman. But it distracted him long enough. Eli tackled him violently. The gun skidded across concrete. The man grabbed a knife. Savannah screamed. Eli caught the attacker's wrist mid-strike and smashed his forehead into the man's nose. Blood sprayed. The attacker collapsed unconscious. Silence followed. Broken only by Savannah's ragged breathing. Eli stood slowly. You okay? Savannah stared at the gun still trembling in her hands. I shot at someone. You missed. That's not comforting. One of the attackers groaned on the floor. Eli crouched beside him. Who sent you? The man spat blood. Go to hell. Eli calmly grabbed his injured wrist and twisted. The scream echoed through the warehouse. Try again. Okay. Okay, the man cried. Pier 19. Arnett's moving something tomorrow night. Eli froze. Then his expression darkened. What's at Pier 19? Savannah asked. The attacker looked terrified. A shipment. What kind? The man swallowed hard. Enough to start a war. By morning, snow covered the city in white. Chicago looked peaceful. But Savannah knew better now. The city was rotting beneath the surface. And somewhere inside that rot stood Vincent Arnett. Waiting. Watching. Planning. Savannah sat at a steel table while Eli brewed coffee. Neither had slept. You really think Arnett's planning a weapons deal? She asked. Eli handed her a mug. I think Pier 19 is important enough that he sent killers after us. Savannah stared into the steaming coffee. Then she looked up. We need proof. We? You're stuck with me now. Eli shook his head slowly. You don't understand what that means. Savannah stepped closer. Then explain it. For several seconds he said nothing. Then he finally spoke. When Vincent destroyed my restaurants, I fought back. Quietly. I stole records. Followed money. Dug into suppliers. His voice lowered. And people around me started dying. Savannah's expression softened. My former manager disappeared. One supplier was found floating in the river. A dishwasher who overheard the wrong conversation got shot outside his apartment. Eli looked away. That's why I stopped. But you started again. His eyes met hers. Because 3 weeks ago, somebody tried to recruit one of my kitchen staff to move crates through the restaurant. Savannah frowned. Who? A 17-year-old prep cook named Luis. What happened? Eli's jaw tightened. He refused. The silence afterward said everything. Savannah's stomach dropped. They killed him? Eli nodded once. Rage surged through her. Suddenly this wasn't just another investigation. This was personal. That evening, Savannah returned briefly to her apartment downtown. The luxury penthouse suddenly felt cold and artificial after the warehouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the skyline. Expensive art decorated the walls. Everything looked perfect. Which meant nothing inside it was real. She opened her laptop and reviewed everything she had gathered. Photos. Bank records. Shipping invoices. Arnett's shell companies. Then she froze. A new email sat in her inbox. No subject. No sender. Her pulse climbed as she opened it. Inside was a single attachment. A photograph. Savannah stared. Her blood ran cold. It was a picture of her entering Eli's warehouse earlier that morning. Taken from far away. Someone had been watching them. Below the photograph was one sentence. You should have left the story alone. Then her apartment lights suddenly shut off. Darkness swallowed the penthouse. Savannah slowly stood. Her heartbeat thundered. Somewhere inside the apartment, something moved. A floorboard creaked. Savannah grabbed the nearest object, a heavy glass vase. Another sound. Closer this time. Then a man stepped from the darkness near the hallway. Tall. Masked. Holding a knife. Savannah swung the vase instantly. The attacker ducked. Glass exploded against the wall. He lunged. Savannah ran. The man grabbed her coat. She twisted free and slammed into the kitchen island. Pain shot through her shoulder. The attacker came again. Savannah snatched a chef's knife from the counter. The two circled each other. The masked man laughed softly. Journalists always think they're heroes. Savannah's breathing shook. Then suddenly the balcony window exploded inward. Eli crashed through it. The attacker spun too late. Eli hit him with brutal force. Both men slammed across the kitchen floor. The knife skidded away. Punches thundered. Furniture shattered. The attacker grabbed a hidden pistol. Savannah screamed a warning. Eli seized the man's wrist just as the gun fired. The bullet tore into the ceiling. Eli drove his elbow into the attacker's throat. The masked man staggered backward. Then jumped through the broken balcony door and disappeared into the night. Savannah stood frozen. Eli turned toward her. You hurt? She shook her head shakily. How did you even get here? You stopped answering your phone. Savannah stared at him. You climbed my building? Eli glanced toward the shattered balcony. Fire escape. Despite everything, Savannah almost laughed. Then emotion hit her all at once. Fear. Relief. Adrenaline. She grabbed Eli suddenly and buried herself against him. His arms wrapped around her immediately. Strong. Protective. Real. For several long seconds neither spoke. Then Eli quietly said, "Now do you understand?" Savannah looked up at him. "No," she whispered. "Now I'm angry."